show so that we wouldn't get overwhelmed. So we should be able to get through all of these and start afresh.
Noise.
So fresh and so clean.
All right, guys, remember, as always, you can go to discgolfanswerman.com and submit your questions. We love the speak pipe questions, so keep sending those in. You don't have to, but we like to put those first because they're really cool.
And speaking of the speak pipe questions, we I don't know if you got to run into him, but Dean from Amsterdam was at GBO.
I met him.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was here, and he came and talked to me, and I signed a junior judge for the kids
nice.
and all that.
Yeah,
so
I met him. That was awesome.
Yeah, he was really thrilled, and he's going to continue to do that. So it's pretty awesome.
I got to meet Jake.
I did
from
too.
St. Louis.
Yep,
State
Jake
Farm.
from State.
Oh,
Yep, I
St.
did.
Louis.
I met him
not
as
the
well.
State Farm one.
Yep.
Why do I sound different? Anyway, and also I wanted to give a quick shout out on the show to all the volunteers that helped out at Glass One Open. You guys did really awesome. One particular group, and I only say this because I happened to be interacting with them at certain events, was there was a group out of Colorado, and they're from they knew Doug, and I think they're from some Bible training camp or something like that out in Colorado.
Okay.
It's like Ponderosa or something.
Oh yeah,
like that.
I don't know.
from Ponderosa,
But
probably.
those guys, man,
They know what's up.
They
worked,
killed it.
Yeah, they worked hard. In fact, the one
Marcus Rawls is from up there, and he's a real good dude.
Marcus Rawls is from Ponderosa.
Yeah.
They were cleaning up out behind the distribution center, and it was pouring down rain, and they were picking up those fences and just doing their thing. And so, thank you to all the volunteers, and a shout out to you guys for being such good help during the Glass One Open.
Without you, the Glass One Open wouldn't
That's
happen.
Right. Shout out to Jackie for facilitating all that too.
Jackie was good,
awesome,
and she did customer service as well.
And it was her birthday.
And it was her birthday.
That's right.
As I choke, and it was her birthday.
What a great birthday present.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys, let's go to the first question from SpeakPipe. Let me get the audio levels. We should be good. And 3 and 2 and.
Is it a dance video now?
Yes, I don't know. Here we go.
1 and 2 and.
Hey, Disc Golf Answer Crew. First off, I want to apologize to Robert. I've been going through the archives and also listening to the latest episodes, so I honestly didn't know who the third person was going to be on episode 168. My question is about throwing a catch disc around to keep warm during a backup that you addressed in the last episode. You cited Rule 801.02e, discs used in play, to say that you can't do this since illegal discs are defined in the rules, but footballs, rocks, and hacky sacks aren't. I think the legality of the situation hinges more on the definition of in or during play. To me, the spirit of the rule is to prevent players from throwing illegal discs down the fairway at the basket. And during play, as it pertains to discs, means teeing off, Rule 802.01, and throwing from a stance, including putting, Rule 802.04. After all, would you stroke someone for playing catch with a PDGA-approved disc? Thanks for the podcast, and keep it real funky.
Okay, first of all, Gabe, it's okay because, I work with the guy and I often forget him, so.
That is rude.
So you're okay. But I wanted to give a little, I don't know, he's a little, anyway, Grizzly Ginger a shout out because he actually has a YouTube channel that I started watching a while back, and he discovered disc golf, and he thought I'm just a brand new beginner, just ready to go, and I'm going to chronicle on YouTube my how I learn and how I improve and stuff like that.
Cool.
And he throws a lot of our brands, so that's really cool. So anyway, to his question, Mr. Robert McCall.
All right, well, the end of his question was, would you stroke somebody for tossing around a PDGA approved disc? And my answer is yes, I would.
I'd at least warn him first.
Well, yeah, of course, first time. I don't know. I mean, it's a practice throw. Like,
yeah,
that's just like, all right, here's a good example. So we're playing.
What does the rule book say? Does it say warning first and then stroke?
Not on throws.
Not on throws.
No, warnings are for foot faults and courtesy violations and things like that.
Interesting.
So I've had this situation happen before where it wasn't me, but somebody on my card threw a disc out of bounds across a creek, but the course played on both sides of the creek. And so somebody on my card asked somebody on the other card to toss their disc back over, and they went to do it, and we were like, don't do that, because if it's your disc, you'll be assessed a stroke. It's just don't mess with that is what I have to say. So I think the spirit of the rule, yes, you're correct, is throwing from a stance or a putting situation or anything like that. But to go on the other side of the spectrum, say I take like whatever PDGA non-approved disc I can think of, whatever it is. I don't really care. And to stay warm on backups, or even if I just threw a bad drive on the last hole, I could just take my non-approved disc, throw it as hard as I want to, and now I'm warmer than everybody else. Now I have more muscle memory than everybody else. So I would say that the spirit of the game is to not throw that at all. I don't know. That's just me. What do you think?
I completely agree. What if I stood 3 feet from you and we played catch?
Well, it's less than 6 feet. So.
Yeah. Loopholes.
So in the sense
Science.
of, now wait a minute. Now you said, now I get the whole I'm not throwing a disc, but you say you're more warmed up than I am and
Sure.
stuff like that. Well, what about the people that decide to play like hacky sack to kind of keep the joints going?
Well, yeah, I mean that's fine.
It's a different motion.
It's not a
though.
disc.
True.
If you have a football in your bag and you throw it like a disc?
Yeah, that seems like it'd be okay. I'm not saying it'd be helpful.
What if it's a plate?
All right, whatever. It's not a disc. Like, if this happened on my card, I would just say, please don't do that. I don't think it's necessary to stroke the person right off the top. But if they pull out something that looks like a disc golf disc and are doing something that gains them any sort of competitive advantage, whether it's just keeping their wrist warm or getting their touchdown, I just say don't mess with it.
What if I have a towel and I do the whole Felberg
Towel's not a disc. Towel away, buddy.
towel away?
You're not. I mean, are you throwing the towel, Bobby, or are you
Well,
just
no,
kind of?
but I'm going to do the whole motion
that's
of
perfectly
snapping
fine.
the
You can-
towel. and
you
stuff
can do
like
that with
Bobby
the
is
disc.
Bobby is always throwing in the towel, dude. He's like,
Oh, whatever.
I'm done.
Snap.
I'm tired. That was my best Bobby impression.
Spot
Sounded
on.
just
Spot
like
on. Spot on.
Solid.
I thought I was in a room with two Bobbies.
That's right. It's so weird.
All right, here. Next one is from Chris.
Hey guys, this is Chris Miller from Rock Hill, South Carolina. First of all, I just want to say thanks a lot for putting on the show. Really enjoy listening to you when you're on. My question is, I am 44 years old, just started playing about 8 months ago and really enjoying playing disc golf and looking to get better. Up until now, I've only been throwing backhand. Just recently started working on a forehand throw, and I'm having a pain in my elbow after a day of going out and practicing and throwing maybe 25 or 30 forehand throws. I don't remember ever having anything like this when I started. I don't have any muscle soreness now when I throw a regular round, just backhand. So I'm wondering, is this something that's happening because this is new to me in my body, or is this something I'm doing wrong? And secondly, being my age and that I have no intentions of ever playing professionally and just playing for fun, is this something that I should give up on if it's causing me pain, or should I push through and see if it's just a temporary situation because it's new? And any other advice you can give me maybe to identify if it's something I'm doing wrong or is this normal? Thanks again. Have a great day.
Any doctors in the house?
Is this one for me?
Well, I don't know if it's the next story for you, but you tend to throw more forehands
Yeah.
than I do.
Well, yeah.
I will say
which is any forehands.
I was 100%
on birdies.
on birdies with forehands
Put
at GBO.
one up top, dude.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1 for 1.
That's yeah. If you go and watch the Central, I guess it's a Central Coast coverage,
It was
right?
Yeah, it was Central Coast.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was smooth,
Yeah,
just like you planned it.
that's right.
I have had pain in my elbow before from throwing forehands, and it for me came from a couple of things. One is in the forehand form, there are people who go on two schools of thought. One is reaching all the way back, and one is kind of keeping your arm tight to your body. And because of your body composition, one of those may work better for you than the other one. So if you're reaching back as far as you can and getting a whole arm motion into it and really whipping it, then I would suggest kind of keeping your arm tighter to you and just focusing on your wrist right at the end, popping your wrist and keeping your palm up. So it can be really consistent if you do that. But another thing that I've seen people do and that I've actually had to do before is tennis elbow is when one of the, I believe it's a tendon that runs through your elbow, just kind of gets out of place. And it can be really painful in your elbow for both forehand and backhand shots. So they make a band that goes just on the hand side of your elbow, so just below your elbow, that kind of keeps that tendon in place for you. And that solved some of my problems. And I trained with it. I didn't throw too many. And now I don't have any elbow issues using that. And so maybe one thing to try might be the little tennis elbow brace, but another thing would just be throw fewer forehands, throw them for shorter distances, and then build up to it.
Yeah, I mean, he did mention that he's only been playing for 8 months,
right?
Too, so it's a really short period of time to be out, learning the game and putting a lot of force between your throws, and it's a whole new motion,
right?
So that's probably part of it as well. I'm not necessarily sure if you've got bad form.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
I do know. The backhand is more of a natural follow through for the arm for the motion, as opposed to the forehand. You're kind of going against, I suppose, muscles and it's more tendons that you're causing to fluctuate. So, keeping that in mind and not ripping them out there as hard as you can, and just kind of taking it nice and easy, I suppose, is a good way to start out.
For sure, yeah. Most people naturally use the bigger muscle groups when they're throwing backhand, because you have to get your legs in a position, your hips in a position, your shoulders in a position. You could throw a forehand with honestly just your arm and your legs being in a certain place. And so I would instruct you, or just give you just this tip. Go watch somebody like Big Germ, whose footwork is really good on his forehand. It's really smooth. You can see that he doesn't have pain because he throws them all over the place. And emulating somebody like that who does use the main muscle groups, I think will be helpful for a new person.
And to be fair, when you're talking about Big Germ, he doesn't have a power forehand. It's all finesse and touch shots.
Absolutely.
So
he can throw it far, but it's certainly not. It doesn't look like he's trying hard.
Exactly.
And just for if you're new to disc golf and stuff like that, Big Germ referring to Jeremy Colling.
Yeah.
So
which I would assume he would know because he lives in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Yeah, he's probably heard of the dude.
Good point. Next one is from Nils.
Hey, Disc Golf Benjamin crew. What's up? My name is Niels. I'm 27 years old and I'm from Germany. First of all, keep on doing what you do. Great effort. Great show. I really enjoy it. So thumbs up. My question is, over here in Germany, disc golf is growing, but it's not as big as it could be already. And I guess one big aspect of it not growing as fast as it could is the lack of German coverage. We do not have German coverage overall here. So not every German can speak English, and not everyone likes to watch disc golf videos without a commentary. And I want to know, would it be a better way for me to go out, film some very uninteresting little German tournaments and do commentary on it, and hope that people just stumble upon it when they use or when they search German commentary on YouTube on disc golf? Or would it be a better way to search a collaboration between very professional videographers like, for example, Jomez, and do commentary on their footage, so that people who just heard about disc golf and know some names can stumble upon German coverage of important tournaments? I really would like your take on that, because I think it's a very important instrument to get the sport growing over here. So thanks in advance for your answer, and Bobby, keep it real.
What a great concept.
That's a fantastic question too.
So yeah, I get what you're saying as far as going out and filming tournaments. I mean, I think locally that'll, in your area, if people know some of the top players in your area, that'll gain some interest. But, everybody wants to watch the top pros. And I would say reach out to Jomez and Central Coast and tell them that you would like to have their footage and you want to put German commentary. I think that would be amazing.
I agree.
I would say that would be a
completely.
route to go, because in a sense, it's not as much work because you're not doing the filming, you're not doing the editing and all that stuff. Obviously, it's work to do the commentary, but it would be so much faster of a turnaround, and you would have the top name guys, the people that people love to watch.
Well, I think that's the thing.
But they
You
could
would have
appreciate
the top players.
Yeah, they would appreciate the commentary being in their own language. I say go for it.
Agreed.
I can't see a downside.
Wholeheartedly, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice. And if you do, let us know.
Yeah, and
'Cause
we'll
I'd
share
like-
it out.
I'd like to share it out to, because I know we have fans all over, so I'd like to share it out to our German fans.
I like hearing from somebody like that who says disc golf isn't big in my area. What can I do to help grow disc golf in my area?
Exactly.
Good for you, Nils. That's awesome.
Yes.
All right, so Nils had such a great idea. He's got another question.
All right,
too.
Nils.
All right.
Hey, Disc Golf fans and man crew, it's Niels again from Germany, and I got another question. So this time I want to talk about upshots. I really like to use the Discmania PD for my upshots. I throw it sidearm, and by upshot I mean even very, very short upshots from about 150 to 200 feet. The results are good. I park it next to the pole pretty much every time when I can throw it like this. But it got me thinking about my backhand form on upshots. Is it just a personal preference that I use such a fast disc to spike it next to the pin? Or does it indicate that my form on my backhand throws with a putter, for example, just isn't that well developed? So I really want to know, should I keep on doing it because it feels good and the results are there? Or should I rethink about it and maybe work on my smooth putter backhand approach shot, which is something I really not worked on that much by now because I found another way to handle these upshots. I really would like to know what you think about that, and keep on doing what you do.
That's another really good question.
Yeah. For me, I think having a putter in the bag when you're playing these casual rounds and throw both. That's a great way to practice it. And you can kind of see results firsthand on throwing the high speed driver as a forehand approach. But when you said that you did this and you always park it by the pole, why change?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're always parked and it's always successful,
Yeah.
I'd say keep doing it.
Where else would you want to park it?
Yeah, I mean, unless maybe
by the tree a ways away from the
maybe
pole.
he
But I
wants to
parked the
make
tree.
it. Maybe he wants to make it
good
every
point,
time.
Good point.
I would absolutely, stick to, what you know best and what you do best, stay in your own game plan. But if it's something you want to branch out, I would absolutely grab a putter. And, during these casual rounds that you're playing, throw your forehand approach and then throw a backhand putter at the same spot just to kind of get some repetition, some shots in there. And then you can see firsthand the results.
Right. And I think there's merit to both because assuming that you're not just playing a wide open course every day, there will be times where you need something to just go dead straight. And when you say you're spiking it in, that indicates, at least to us by your terminology, that you've got all sorts of air and room on the right and left to deal with. So
Right.
Developing the straight, soft touch putter shot, I think, is super important. But having shots like those high speed driver, forehand, backhand, spike in, I think that's important too.
Yeah.
We saw Nate Sexton throw one of those on hole 6 at Jones East. He was no more than 150 feet from the basket. Easy putter, backhand upshot if he wants, but instead he took a Firebird and spiked it. And I mean, because of the slope of the green, it just hit and sat. And that's a great shot to have.
A lot of that makes sense to me because when you think about a standstill forehand shot, you're never turning your back to the target.
You're always watching.
You're always got the target in front of you, your release points and everything. So sure, it's more of an advantage for certain players who don't have as confident of a backhand.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think a good answer is to work on both, but when it's crunch time, like go to the one you're most confident in.
Yes, exactly.
All right, next one comes from Andrew.
Hi, Bobby, Eric, and Robert. This is Andrew Hinks out of Park City, Utah, PDGA number 89887. I love listening to your guys' podcast and have kind of a two-part question here, mainly regarding to tournament play. I seem to be having a big issue with being consistent and playing in tournaments. It seems to fall off pretty heavily when it's time to compete. So I'm wondering if you guys have any tips or anything like that helps you prepare, warm up for a tournament.
All right, we'll answer the first part. So what do you guys do to get yourself ready for a tournament?
Sleep in. No.
Eat a nice huge breakfast.
Paint miles of OB.
Yeah.
It depends on the tournament, really. But to get focused, I absolutely like to go out and play a couple rounds on that course just to get to know the course. And if it's a course that I know, if it's a local tournament somewhere close to home, it's courses that I'm familiar with that I play a lot. I just try to get my practice rounds in at my home course, and maybe practice a couple of those shots that you normally wouldn't on your course just to get the, fatigue factor not an issue when you're out there playing during these events. And you know, I mean, sometimes you don't have the time for that, but try to make time, I guess, is what I would say, in the evenings and whenever you can get out to the course and just work on all different type of shots, really.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's exactly what I would say. For me, it's important when getting ready for an event to do all of my thinking before the tournament round starts. So I want to have thought about all these different lines and all these different shots. I want to make sure that I have a game plan before I go into the tournament so that when I get to the tournament, I can focus on the one thing that I need to on every tee box, which is what's my target?
Yep.
What am I aiming at? No other thoughts. Whatever I did on the last hole doesn't matter. Whatever hole is coming up doesn't matter. Just what's my target? And that for me helps with consistency because I'm not playing well. I'm not playing bad. I have one shot in front of me, and that's all that matters. Yep. So that's what I do.
All right. Second part to his question.
Second part of the question is.
I said that already, Andrew.
I got accepted into the Beaver State Fling. It's a little over my level. I'll be playing MA1, where I'm typically an MA3. How do you guys feel about the playing over the level? I kind of feel bad just because I feel like I'm potentially taking a spot away from a potential winner, but I do want to experience the event. So kind of on the fence there both ways. So any insight there, I'd definitely appreciate.
Jealous.
Yeah, Beaver State looks awesome.
It is. It's probably one of my favorite events to travel outside of Emporia to go play, and I'm not going this year.
Yeah, before the time I'm done playing disc golf, I'm going to get up to that tournament,
Do
even
it.
if it's just to hang out.
Do it. It's no, you got to go during the Beaver State. It's just you have to go for that event.
Yeah.
What do I say about taking a spot, moving up, and playing with players better than you? Well, I've actually preached this for years. If you want to get better, is to move up and play with those players that are better than you. You know, if you want to, you know, work on your game and kind of see the next level of things,
yep.
You know, move up. You know, when I'm saying move up, you know, still stay in your comfort zone and not, you know, do certain shots that are out of your comfort zone, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I don't see you taking a spot from somebody that has a chance to win. I mean, you earned that spot. You know, you got in off the wait list or however you got into the event. You know, that's your spot. You deserve it. You go out there and you have yourself a fabulous time.
Yeah, they had an equal opportunity to sign up for the tournament or sign up for the tournament is what I was trying to say. Sign up for the tournament as you did. So if the future possible winner was the next person on the wait list, they should have signed up before you.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's. I feel like they do something different out there, like it's a lottery pick
or something
like that. So I mean,
I wouldn't feel bad.
I wouldn't at all.
Go have a great time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just travel east next year for the Glass Blown Open, though.
That's right. But Eric brings up a really, really good point.
When the Glass Blown Open?
Yes. Yeah. That's the one I was going to talk about. Yeah. What I was going to say is if you are playing up, you get to see what's possible and at a higher level. I really like that. But that doesn't mean that you have to do those things, right? I know that Eric throws farther than me. So if we go to a perfect example is Jones East Hole 5.
Yeah.
Uphill, 480 feet. Eric almost always goes for the green. I never go for the green. I know I'm not going to reach it. I'm going to be getting a 4 at best. Maybe I lose a stroke or two to him, but I'm certainly not going to do worse than a 4 unless I just really, really screw it up. And so knowing your game, even though you're playing with better players, I think that's pretty important.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next one comes from Chris. Where you at, Chris? Chris? All right, Chris. I'm sorry, but nothing seemed. Oh, Chris. Nope. That was my fault. Hold on, Chris. Hold on, Chris.
Like he's in your computer or something.
That's right.
No,
hang on, big guy.
Hang on, Chris.
Hey guys, Chris Miller from Rock Hill, South Carolina.
You didn't have to yell, Chris.
My question is, I am having an issue where about every week I go out and play with a group of friends, and we'll play usually 3 rounds in a day. And it's not until towards the end of the first round that I really start to throw the way I feel I should be throwing. And it's a difference of as much as 10 or 12 strokes from the first round to my second and third rounds worse. 10 to 12 strokes worse during the first round. The problem I have is when I'm entering local events, there's usually not time before the event starts to get a full practice round in, and it's not just a matter of needing some warm-up throws, but it's 12 or 13 holes into the round before I start feeling like I'm really playing my game. Wondering if there's anything you can recommend, either mentally or physically, that I can do to warm up better or to try to resolve this issue, because it's definitely making it frustrating rounds when I go out to show up for an event. Thanks again. Have a great day.
What do you think, Robert?
I'll chime in.
Do it.
So it sounds to me like it just takes you longer to warm up, right? And that's each person takes a different amount of time. I remember talking to Dave Feldberg, and he always says he wants to play at least 7 holes before a tournament starts, because that's when he feels like he's thoroughly warmed up. For you, if it's 12 to 13 holes, then I think it's one of two things. One, I would get there a little earlier and not focus on playing holes as much as think through the holes that you're going to play and throw the shots like you're going to throw them, but just in a field, so that you're not having to walk between every shot. You're not having to walk to the next tee and take all of that extra time. Instead, you can emulate that in, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, especially if you follow up with putts like that. But another thing that I would recommend that you do is do some kind of dynamic stretching. So make sure you do your regular old stretching. You're getting your arms, your back, your hips, your legs, everything like that. But then do some stretching that allows you to move around a little bit. Some sort of plyometric type stuff, so that your mobility feels really good for the round. When I do stuff like that, it's better for me than going and throwing a few holes, because my whole body feels better rather than just my throwing arm, and I don't know.
So dynamic stretching, was that a pun there?
No.
No pun.
No, I'm actually not a pun kind of guy, Bobby. I'm surprised you don't know that about me just yet.
So let me ask you this though: is there something? I mean, obviously there's something maybe with the mentality of it, but do you think that maybe after 12 or 13 holes, in his mind he starts to do better? But do you think it's because he's realizing his brain is going, you're sucking? So time to your brain says, okay, time to put the fundamentals into place. So maybe you got to figure out how to get into that zone beforehand. And I know that's kind of what you're suggesting, but I don't know. It just seems like that. Sorry, something's happening to one of the cameras. Anyway, so that's what my thinking is that maybe your body's just saying, hey, it's time to really kick it into gear.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. What do you think, Eric?
I think it also couldn't hurt to just get to the course early and throw as much golf as you can if you your body allows that.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the same Chris that called in from Rock Hill, South Carolina with
I'd assume
the elbow injury?
Yes. Don't throw a lot of forehands.
Yeah, don't throw a lot of forehands.
Don't waste your forehands on the warm up.
But absolutely get out and just throw some shots. Play as much golf as you can. And that's a great way to warm up. For me, I remember I used to need to do that. Used to need to get out and play a lot of golf before I felt comfortable, and it took me a while to get warm. Now I'll come out and throw like 10 putts, and I'm like, let's go.
All right, let's throw them frisbees.
Yeah. So
I like to, if I'm playing a tournament, I like to get there 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time and just make sure that I'm not rushed to do what I want to do. But yeah, I mean, maybe your warm-up time just needs to be longer, like an hour and a half or a couple hours or something.
All right, next question comes from Jacob.
Jacob?
Hey, Jacob.
How's it going, Disc Golf Answer Man crew? Jacob from North Carolina. My question today is the process in which Disc Golf World Tour, Disc Golf Pro Tour, and even the GBO has utilized Facebook votes to kind of let fans vote for the athletes they want to see on that featured card. To me, it's a really cool kind of debate. On one side of the argument, as a fan, I love being able to cast my vote for the player that I want to see on that featured card. On the other side, it always seems like it's the same 7 to 9 players. Macbeth, Wasaki, Coling, Sexton, Eagle, Lazat. They're always kind of at the top of that popularity with the number of votes that they have. So I guess the question is, how do you see that in the future? Do you continue to let fans to vote for the same card kind of over and over again? Or is it a way that we can use that to kind of introduce new players to the sport? The example that I'll use is the Texas State Championships when James Conrad was on the lead card. he became a disc golfer that I became a fan of. I really enjoyed watching him play the game and his thought process behind that. So I became a new fan. So I guess the debate is up for you guys to discuss. Do you continue to utilize Facebook votes to always maybe come up with the same 6 to 7 players that you always see on the featured card? Or do you maybe put 1 or 2 of those featured players there, but then try to introduce some up-and-coming athletes in the disc golf world to maybe attract new fans? Love to hear your thoughts. Thanks.
So there's so many different layers and perspectives and levels to an answer for this question. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and start with mine. Jacob, you will never be able to send in a question again. No, I'm playing.
Later.
The whole, well, at least our perspective, and I'm pretty sure this is for every tournament that does the whole feature card thing.
Debatable.
What do you mean?
Go ahead.
Well, I was saying the purpose behind it is to have, because you're wanting to get people to watch the video, the coverage. From our perspective, we are paying a good amount of money to have these camera crews come out here. So we want to make sure we get the most views possible. So in that vein, we have to say, well, who are the people that people want to watch? And so, in years past, we've made those choices, and we've had, that either past champions or world champions.
Which was our second card this year, was past champions.
So this time we thought, well, what we'll do is we'll pick some champions, and we'll let people vote to see who can be on the top card. And some people really liked it, and some people didn't like the idea. And to the people that say things like, well, we get to see the same people over and over again, shouldn't we see someone different? Well, the votes don't show that. The votes show that you want to see the same people.
Yeah, I agree to an extent, but when it's only a certain amount of people that are able to vote for,
yeah, that's true.
Then it's.
Yeah,
but at the World Tour now, it's not necessarily a voting. It's a who plays with Macbeth.
True
thing. It's not all people vote for all, which is, it is what it is. He's the face of that tour, which makes sense.
To make an example, this guy mentioned James Conrad. Are you saying that if we would have put James Conrad as a possible vote, would he have got the votes?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he wouldn't have. Now, is that a popularity contest? Yes, but it's what people want to see. It's what people want to watch, and so. Even Nate Doss, who is well known, who's a multiple world champion, major champion, he didn't get a lot of votes. Does that mean he's a poor player? No, he's an excellent player. Did that mean he's a bad person? No, he's a good guy.
I think when you kind of look down at the list of who won each, who had the most votes on each one, it's not just a popularity contest, but it's everybody that had like over 1,000 likes has a pretty good social media presence, as where the guys that don't.
And that's one thing that really chaps my hide. Because I'm going to keep it real.
Hey, you know what we haven't done in a while?
What?
Said that we are going to keep it real. We've kept it real, but we haven't said.
That is a fact.
I'm going to keep it real.
Keep it real.
It bothers me when people say, oh, it's just the people that have social media. I guess you got to have your social media game. Yes, you have to have your social media game. This is
a player's name is their brand here.
Exactly. And we want to be a real sport. We are a real sport, but we want to be in the same levels as the bigger sports. These people have PR people they pay, public relation people that they pay. They pay someone to build their brands so that when they are no longer able to play professionally, they have something to look back on. They can fall back on their brand. So yes, if their social media game is strong, don't give them grief.
That's aside the point. Thanks for keeping it real there, but let's move on to the actual topic.
So anyway, so it's something that we thought we wanted to try, and we're going to obviously evaluate and see if we want to do it again. I don't know. Are we going to do it again? I'm not sure it's been decided yes or no.
I don't think that. It won't be something that's decided until next year, or late this year, one of the two. But how did we come up with? Do you remember how we came up with the original? I know we had a method for it. I don't know if it was
had to do with being past GBO champions.
Past GBO champions.
They're for sure on there, but Eagle wasn't a past GBO champion.
I think it was. Oh, I know. I think it was the past GBO champions and the top 3 rated players at the event.
Okay,
that were signed up at that time.
Cool.
I think that was the method we went with.
Yeah.
to make it a 10, make it 10 people voting.
Cool, yeah.
And Will was on the list, but he didn't come.
Yeah. He decided not to come. So,
Yeah.
Did that answer his question, I think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I think
people go back and forth about feature cards in general, and for me, I think it is good for the sport because of you get more eyes on videos that have top pros. That's just the fact of the matter. So we've seen cards like
It's been proven, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen cards like where Macbeth will play with another, like a 10-10 rated player. That's a good player. And then like a 980 rated guy and a 960 rated guy. And those videos won't get as many views as Macbeth, Wysocki, Simon, Sexton, because each one of them have their own fans who, when they see their name on a video, other than just Paul's fans, are like, wow, I definitely want to watch that video. Right. So to just drop somebody in just so we see new faces, I don't think is necessarily the best way to do it. If they earn their way onto the coverage like James did.
Or Newhouse did this
week.
Or
Newhouse did, yeah. I mean, then good for them. Like, that's how you get your own name out there.
I agree, and I do see both sides of it, because I hear both sides of it, obviously. You know, people come up to me and tell me everything that I did wrong with GBO as opposed to everything that we did right.
Awesome.
But, you know, a lot of it, I see some of the players thinking it's an unfair advantage, which to an extent I completely agree with, because when I'm on camera, when I have a gallery, I tend to focus a little bit harder, which forces me to play better, as opposed to being more relaxed.
Right.
So I could see both sides of that argument. I'm still for them. I'm still for the top cards.
I love seeing new faces on the cards. That's awesome. But what I have seen before is when they do the, like, Macbeth or Ricky or whoever, 1010, 980, 960, is that sometimes those people just super crumble under the pressure, and that hurts them. That hurts the views on the video. It's just all around not a good deal.
Right. So to me, it's like, which way do you want it, guys? Do you want our sport to get more views and more exposure, or do you want to not have that and have the players that won't get the views? You know what I'm saying? You know, the people want that, the more exposure, but then when we do things to get the more exposure, then they don't like it.
Yeah. Well, when somebody like Zach Newhouse, so Zach is rated 984 or something like that. He's a great player. Like, has a great forehand, is a really good putter. He earned his way onto the lead card this year's GBO and last year's GBO. Mm-hmm. So when that happens, you get to tell a story about how that happened instead of he just randomly got on there, and who knows if that guy or any other guy like that can play.
I will have to say, though,
I was so proud of him, by the way. He did awesome. It was so awesome to watch him play.
I told him that.
Absolutely.
And when I was talking to him, I thought, wow, his Canadian accent is strong.
Well, he is from Wisconsin.
Yeah, I know, but
so he's always had that.
Right, but I mean, I noticed, like, he sounds a little more than before than when I talked to him.
He's such a cool dude, man. I like him.
He's awesome. Yeah. I like him. All right, next one is from Paul.
Macbeth?
Hey, Bobby and Eric. This is Paul from Memphis. I'm a longtime fan of the show, and I got 2 quick questions for you guys today. First, I've been watching the GBO footage at Olpe, and I had a question about the peninsula greens that were made of rocks. It's no secret now that many of the players weren't stoked about these greens because they would really tear up their discs. Since I know you guys have a big hand in all things GBO, I was wondering if you could enlighten us on why the decision was made to stick with the rocks as opposed to putting something like mulch down. My second question is much broader. What is the most...
We'll answer the first question
first.
No,
I was waiting for you to answer.
Oh, okay.
I figured that's why you said it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We thought about that we wanted, and we wanted to put mulch down. We approached the city of Olpe and said, hey, we'd like to put some mulch down on these just to kind of...
Just to lessen the blow on your discs.
A little bit, yeah. But, I mean, to me, it's not that big a deal.
Really
the gravel's really not that big a deal. It doesn't necessarily... I mean, the only thing it could really chunk up is your older baseline plastic type stuff. It doesn't really do a whole lot to the premium stuff that you're throwing into those greens for the most part. I get the argument. We did want to put mulch down, but the city, I think it was, or somebody had told us, yeah, feel free, put the mulch down, but guess what? As soon as it's over, I need you to pick all that mulch up.
Right.
Because they're jetties, or they had their reasoning for it.
Right.
I think they probably just didn't want it all spewing into the water.
Right.
Which makes perfect sense.
Totally.
So I mean, we absolutely thought about that as an issue. That was, probably one of the biggest complaints of the course. Which, man, there's a lot of other things that people could have complained about.
Right.
So I personally think it was a success. And
Yeah.
we've actually already had discussions on what we could do to Olpe, to the peninsulas to change it up a little bit, whatever that is.
Right. Well, and that course was a big separator, and so I'm really glad that we used it this year.
Yeah.
There's some people that really didn't like it, and most of those people didn't play well out there.
That's probably why they didn't like it.
Right. But I hear the point about the rock peninsulas. We're talking about it. It stinks if your disc got chunked up, but sometimes you don't always play on the greenest grass.
Yeah.
And most of the other grass here is very green. Anyway. What's the next part, Bobby?
Part of what?
Of the question.
I know. I'm just kidding. I was typing something.
Hold on. I heard it go through.
Did you hear you?
Yes.
My second question is much broader.
Did you like the way I spaced that? Man, I timed that really
Whatever,
good.
dude.
What is the most underrated disc, in your opinion, made by each of the 3 Trilogy brands? Thank you guys so much for all you do, and have a great day.
That's a good question.
Super good question.
Most underrated
So
disc.
what would your vote for Westside?
Westside. My vote for Westside. Most underrated disc.
I don't throw a lot of Westside. So.
The Bard. Probably the Bard.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Bard's a great disc. It's a nice overstable mid-range. It kind of fits the lineup in between the Verdict and the Justice from our line. So it's a very nice, predictable, overstable mid-range that you don't hear a lot of love from.
Yep.
What you got, Robert?
Westside for me is the Stag. If your arm is a little bit slower, or you just like to throw more controlled shots, I love throwing the Stag for just really easy straight or slight turnovers. I love it.
Funny story about the Stag. When it first came out, they sent a box with us down to Cedar Hill.
Yeah.
For the team players to try out.
Yeah.
And we're
the
all
numbers on them are
the numbers
awesome.
were great. We're like, oh man, these sound like they're going to be great, nice, stable. We were all throwing them. Come to find out, they were all Underworld stamped with stags. So we're like, why are these things flipping so hard?
Heck? Yeah, that's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I think the Stag is a great disc if you're like an intermediate advanced player or just somebody who doesn't throw quite as far.
Yeah.
So let's see. For me, Westside. So if you follow our brands or follow Ricky or anyone like that, you probably have never heard of the Harp. So not playing. I know you've heard of the Harp. Everybody loves it. I would have to say, just based on my own experience, is the Sear. Because it's a very good disc for beginners. And I remember when I was testing throwing it, I think we did a video on it and or some Facebook Live, and I remember thinking I liked the disc, and I thought this is something that I could throw really well. But then I had some DD discs that kind of I didn't throw it enough to really take over a spot. But I think it's one that whenever people come and say, "Hey, I'm not a big arm and I just need a nice glidey disc. What should I throw?" I often forget to suggest the Sear.
That's a good one.
All right, so Latitude 64.
My Latitude 64 underrated disc is probably the Fury. It's an understable. I'm not sure if it's listed as a fairway driver or a distance driver, maybe control driver.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's at that stability that just about anybody can use it. You can, players that have a little bit slower arm speed can throw it out there nice and straight. A player with my arm speed can actually get it out there on a roller line and have it hold pretty good and finish up to the right. And just a really all-around great disc. It's really easy to throw, and I enjoy the Fury.
Yeah, the Fury.
Plus, it's got a great name.
Right.
Fury.
Yeah. The Fury and Vision are pretty similar, and Ricky rolls a Vision.
Mm-hmm.
And
he does.
He, go watch the Aussie Open coverage from this year. He was rolling that thing all over the place. It was awesome. My underrated Latitude 64 disc is the Claymore. I don't put it in my bag because I have. Do you think that's properly rated? You looked at me funny.
I don't know that to me, it's not underrated. I mean, I get a lot of people that really like the Claymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't hear of a lot of people using it.
Maybe get outside once in that.
Does he?
Yeah.
My
Claymo,
underrated Latitude,
I believe is what he says.
That's right. My underrated Latitude.
Wouldn't you say that was
kind of
odd? The Claymore would be
fairly. I think the only reason it is because it's a newer disc as opposed to like the Fury and.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He likes you better than I do. So.
Well, my underrated Latitude 64
He's my
disc
partner on
is
Saturday,
for-
so
oh,
I gotta
that's
be
That's
nice.
right. That's right. Then you can just skip my answer. I like the Claymore a lot. I now throw the EMAC Truth in that spot because I've got one beaten up a little bit more. The Claymore is slightly slower than an EMAC Truth and has, for me, a slightly straighter finish out of the box. I prefer the feel of an EMAC Truth, but I threw a Claymore for a really long time, so I think it's a good one. Also, Bobby, leave me alone. I'm trying my best, okay?
Just mess with you. So for me, as my experience,
The stiletto.
and I
Never
wouldn't
heard
say
of
I wouldn't say this one is underrated, but maybe I don't just hear about it a lot. But maybe
Okay.
that's what underrated means to. Maybe that's part of his
yeah.
question. It would be the Striker.
Striker.
I remember the Striker for me being such a super straight disc, and obviously I keep saying, but I don't have the arm for a huge distance.
Do you know why the Striker doesn't get a lot of love?
Why?
Because the Striker is a fairway driver,
Yeah.
and they've got the St. Pro. They've now got the River Pro.
Culverin.
They've got the Culverin.
So it just kind of gets lost.
It kind of got lost in
Yeah.
the ways kind of thing.
But whenever I'm out at the with the RV and helping sell discs and discuss discs, and someone says, I don't throw very far, but I need something that's super straight, my immediate answer is Striker, because it doesn't seem to be one that a lot of people mention. So, all right, so dynamic discs, Eric, which one do you think's underrated?
That's a tough one because obviously
EMAC Truth, I think, is very underrated.
No.
Yeah, we hardly sell any of those,
and
Yeah,
never,
not many.
and
Never.
we never talk about it. Just teasing.
It's tough because I think I'm more familiar, obviously, with all the DD line, so I think about a lot of the discs.
Don't steal mine.
That's gonna be hard to.
Are you going to say Fugitive?
No.
Okay. I don't know if this is an underrated disc. I'll say I don't know that this is an underrated disc, but the people out there that love this disc and throw this disc live and die by this disc, and it's the Suspect.
Yeah.
I think I don't personally have one in the bag. I had one in the bag when they first came out, and I did really enjoy the disc. I really liked it, but sorry, Bobby did something.
I know I was being silly.
Yeah, I don't have one in the bag currently. I don't have a whole lot of mids in the bag really. I just have the Justice and the EMAC right now. But it does everything I need my EMACs to do. I mean, I just the Suspect. It's a great flying mid-range putt and approach, whatever you want to call it.
It's kind of a tweener. Yeah?
It is, but it's got a nice flat top on it, and it really does fly great. It is a really good neutral flying. I would say approach disc for a
sure.
beginner.
For sure. Yeah, that's a really good one. I've carried soft Suspects quite a bit as well, and they're pretty overstable.
Mm-hmm.
They sit by the basket. I like those. For me, I don't think Wardens are underrated, but I just don't hear about them as much as Judges.
It's because the Judge is a boom.
Yeah, I like the way the Warden feels. But for me, the underrated mold of ours is the Thief.
Thief.
I bag a Thief, and I don't hear of a lot of people that do.
That's true.
I know Jeremy Rusko does. He's a big time disc golfer. Don't know if you've seen him out there much.
I thought you were going to say Thief.
Yeah, big time thief.
Big time thief
Steals
thrower.
all the stuff.
Big time thief thrower.
Yeah, that's right. No, I like it for power down to 60%. Put it on a hyzer and it'll just go straight and turn to the right. I mean, it's really good for that. I throw it for rollers. I think the Thief's an awesome disc that more beginners and intermediate advanced players should try out.
Cool.
Absolutely. I think underrated is basically any disc of ours that has the Disc Golf Answer Man stamp on them. I don't think you guys understand.
So make sure and go check those out.
Check those. I don't think you understand how much more glide it adds to it to have that Disc Golf Answer Man
stamp,
logo on there.
Absolutely.
So
cooling
those are
process is
available
so
at dynamicdisc.com.
Goofball.
No, I would say my vote would be one.
You're cheating.
I know.
By the way,
but you guys said the
You know
ones
how
I
I
wanted to
know?
say. How?
I can see it in the.
You can see it in the monitor.
Yeah.
I would have to say the Escape.
Really?
Just because it was one of our first ones.
It was one of.
It was one of our first ones, and
was the first one.
It becomes like, people like all the new stuff, which I get it. I know it's cool and all that, but I even forget the Escape sometimes, and I'll be going for a shot, and I'll look and I'll go, "Oh yeah, my Escape," and I'll throw it and be like, "I like that disc.
Right.
Why do I not throw the Escape more?"
And I think the Trespass falls in that same category of forgotten about.
But it's such a great
because it was one of the
driver.
first ones. But
Yeah,
it's
such a great driver.
I have a Trespass that just kind of sits in my bag. It doesn't get
Yeah,
thrown a whole
doesn't do
lot, but
much.
when I do throw it, like at Maple Hill, play a course like Maple Hill, trespass comes out a lot.
That's right. Yeah, we've had several rounds recently where Eric and I will be playing together, and I'll throw something. He'll be like, "What was that?" And I'll say, "Escape." He's like, "Seriously? Like you can do things with them if you just throw them nice and smooth and slow, like this noodle arm throws them."
All right, good stuff, Mr. Paul. This next one's from Boo.
What up, Boo?
Boo.
Oh, jeez, Boo.
I hope this is the whole thing.
It was last time.
Boo, bring in the fun. Bring in the fun. Well, his address, it says, I swear this is the question this time. Oh, here we go.
What's up, guys? Quick question today. Just wondering if you've ever thought of doing an LED version of any of your discs, maybe a Truth or something like that with internal LEDs allowing for night golf. I think that would be a lot of fun. Also, hoping that fluid trespasses might hit the market this year. Thanks for everything you guys do. I'll check you later. Cheers.
That sounded like a spot on the radio.
That, yeah. Hopefully.
Like there's a song playing in the background, and they kind of break in and talk to you a little bit right now, and then they turn it up.
Fades back in. Yeah.
As far as LED lights, I don't know that I do know that Yanni.
Is that possible?
At the. I guess anything's possible, but Yanni.
LED lights? Well, I mean, don't they burn out or.
Well, yeah, but you could, if it's a little thing on the bottom, you could replace it.
Yeah.
They have, anyway, Yanni from Westside Discs, CEO, kind of revealed, I didn't get to see it close. Was it a microchip that he had?
Yep.
Microchip that he had?
Microchip, yeah.
Yeah, so.
It is a microchip that goes in the center of the disc. It's called Smart Disc.
Right.
And it can track where the disc is, the revolutions and speed that it came out with.
It's going to be so much more than just a disc finder.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, I would assume LEDs are in the realm of possibilities, but I would imagine that he is very concentrated on the smart disc aspect. So that's what's going to happen.
Yep. As far as fluid trespasses go, I don't have an answer for that. Do we have fluid moonshine ones? We have fluid moonshine freedoms. That's what I'm thinking of.
We have fluid moonshine escapes too, right?
Yeah. So maybe. Who knows?
What would be the advantage of a fluid trespass? Or what would that do?
Just more grip than anything else.
A little more grip, a little firmer in the winters, and probably just a hair more overstable.
Yeah, right.
A little softer in the winters. You mean?
We
have more give than like
it'd be a little firmer in the winter, meaning.
Then when it's hot.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. It would feel like a regular disc in the wintertime.
Right. When all the rest of your discs feel like bricks.
Yes.
The next one is from Anonymous.
Uh-oh.
What's up, Bobby? Attack of the Drones footage Brown. Robert Big Time McCall and Eric, please tell me it wasn't you who designed Opie, because if it was, then we got Beef McCabe. Jake from St. Louis.
Dang.
No real questions. Really just wanted to say how much fun I had meeting you guys in person. Just so cool just talking to you guys. Y'all are so down to earth. All the other listeners, if you ever get a chance to make it out to Emporia, do your best to put yourself in these guys' way. They will take time out of their day to make you feel like an old friend. They're awesome. I just want to share a couple moments at the GBO that I had. Had so much fun at the GBO, but two things that really stood out, kind of my hashtag GBO moments, were that I got to shower next to, I didn't know it at the time, but shower next to Jay Redding. Didn't realize it until about 15 minutes into our shower conversation.
Okay, so let me explain to
where's
you
this
something about
going?
Glass Mono.
Where's this going?
Communal showers?
This is not what Glass Mono is all about. No, I'm playing. I'm assuming it's some where they were camping or something like
Probably
that.
so.
Was it a new event that we put on?
I'll hope. Yeah, the team shower.
The team shower. Anyway, just kidding. Here we go.
Our shower walls at the RV park were a little uncomfortably low.
Uncomfortably low.
So, we got to know each other pretty well in the shower. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
And my second GBO moment was family found out that I was eating alone, and they invited me to eat with them, paid for my meal, and then sent me home with their leftovers. So it was just unbelievable hospitality all week long from Emporia. It's a magical place. So just wanted to thank you guys for sharing your people, your town, your tournament, and your time. You're awesome.
Well, very cool. I'm glad that he had some good
Yeah, I remember
good
meeting you at the
stories.
Fly Mart.
Yep.
It was an honor. I will say it doesn't look like we have beef because I did not design Opie.
That's right. That's right. And he threw out big time, which I don't know what about me signifies that I would be big
That's
time.
true. That's true.
But hey, I at least appreciate the thought. It's better than some of the other ones I've gotten. Like a guy came up to me after the pro panel, who is a listener of the show, and came over and said, "Oh, I was planning to come over and suggest Robert Too Tall McCall, but then I got over here
And then
I was
I
like,
met you."
yeah, and I was like, yeah, you're gonna want to meet me in person before assessing any height related nicknames."
That's hilarious. Well, thanks for that, Jake. Yes, it was a pleasure meeting
Thanks, Jake.
you. I'm glad to hear you had a great time. I know that there were hundreds and hundreds of stories like that where people having a great time out here in Emporia, and you got to see that we weren't just blowing smoke up your butt when we talk about Emporia being inviting for disc golfers.
It embraces.
They got to experience it firsthand. And matter of fact, I went to the flower store. What do you call it?
Fly Mart?
No, the place where you get flowers.
Florist?
Flower shop. That's what it is. Flower shop, and was ordering some flowers, and the owner was striking up a conversation, and you're thinking a flower shop, and she's like, no, we could sense that things were happening here in Emporia and stuff like that. And so, she thought it turned out really well, and she thanked me and the company for helping Emporia continue to grow. So
it's awesome.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah. Whenever the 1,100 disc golfers and their friends and family who come with them come to Emporia, the city really embraces disc golf, embraces the tournament, and it makes a huge impact on Emporia when you're here, when you go and patronize our sponsors and our friends out here. I think it's super cool for stuff like that.
All right.
We're
hitting on about 10 minutes over an hour.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and end this episode. We have some questions submitted to the website that maybe we'll talk about next week.
We out of speak pipe questions?
We're out of speak pipe questions.
Well, I will not be here next week. So
I won't be here next week either.
I will be here next week.
Did you want to do this on your own?
Nah, you guys can do it. I'll wait for y'all to get back.
I'm actually going to Charlotte to put in a disc golf course.
Oh, nice.
One of the surrounding cities in Charlotte, not actually in Charlotte.
Right.
But
are you interested in a companion?
It is a 9-hole course. Sure, come on, let's go.
Let's go.
It'll be good times.
# let's go. Very cool.
Yeah.
So what is explaining a 9-hole course that you're going to
design?
Okay.
Design a 9-hole course out there. I'm excited. It's a new area to get some of our baskets in the ground, and 9-hole or 18, I don't really care. It's pretty cool to get spread the love, so to speak. Get some different flavor out there on the East Coast, and I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That flavor in your ear. Brand new flavor in. Do you know that song?
No.
Are you keeping it funky again?
Do you not know that song?
Who sings it?
Oh, great.
Oh, we should keep it that way.
Oh,
yeah.
What's it called? Brand new